We are now halfway through 2024, and though the year hasn't been the whirlwind that 2023 was, it's still seen a steady stream of excellent games in its first half, with the second half of the year looming ahead of us and promising plenty more to play and enjoy. Here, we're going to pause and look back on what we feel have been some of the best single-player games that we've played all year up to this point. Number 15, Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons Remake. Back when it first came out over a decade ago, Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons made more than its fair share of fans with its simplistic yet unique gameplay mechanics controlling two characters simultaneously, as well as its heartfelt, captivating story.
Ata Nayi! Ata!
More than a decade later, 505 Games released a remake of the game earlier this year that faithfully recreates every frame of the experience, and with a gorgeous visual upgrade, brings its charming world to life better than even the original did. Number 14, Senua Saga Hellblade 2.
You need to understand. You need to understand.
Answer!
It is my father, Sigil.
His father.
Your father.
The gold thief.
Monster.
He's here.
Look at him.
Senua Saga Hellblade 2 was hyped to the moon and back over the course of the 5 years following its announcement, and though it may not have lived up to that hype, or even touched the heights that its predecessors did in 2017, the sequel is still a solid game. Hellblade 2 is effectively more of the same, and in more ways than one. With gorgeous visuals, captivating performances, and stunning audio design, it has many of the same strengths as its predecessors, while it also has similar weaknesses, from disappointingly straightforward gameplay to an overly brief runtime. Even so, the package on the whole is one that stands out in memory. Number 13, Expeditions: A Mudrunner Game. Saber Interactive and Focus Entertainment's Mudrunner series has become an unlikely fan favorite over the years, and we got another installment in the franchise this year with Expeditions: A Mudrunner Game. And once again, it delivers a wonderfully addictive experience. The core loop of using an ever-expanding toolset to drive through impeccably handcrafted off-roading open-world maps remains as engaging as ever. While added bells and whistles on top, like side quests and expanding your central base, make the experience even meatier. Number 12, Laurelai and the Laser Eyes. Coming from the studio behind Sayonara Wild Hearts, Laurelai and the Laser Eyes launched earlier this year and took many by surprise with just how good it turned out to be. There's no shortage of things to love about the stunning puzzle game, the gorgeous eye-catching visuals, aesthetics, and the unique atmosphere it helps create. The consistently ingenious puzzles and how they keep finding ways to surprise you with their intricacy. The wonderfully surreal story and the central mystery that drives everything that happens. Across its 18 to 20 hour runtime, Laurelai and the Laser Eyes is almost guaranteed to make you fall in love with it. Number 11, Pacific Drive. Pacific Drive was a game that many had their eyes on in the months and years leading up to its release, and thankfully it turned out to be as remarkably as many had hoped it would be. Rare is the survival game that plays with its genre's trappings as cleverly as Pacific Drive does, blending it all around driving a car and, even more importantly, maintaining and improving that car. Making your way through a terrifyingly bizarre setting while consistently making slow and steady progress with your car makes for a gripping central loop, and Pacific Drive builds quite a compelling experience around it across the entirety of its runtime. Number 10, Stellar Blade. Coming from an unknown studio with no experience in AAA development, yet still bearing all the flash and visual flair that you'd expect from a major console release, Stellar Blade was on more than a few radars long before it even came out. And when it finally did come out earlier this year, it thankfully managed to live up to its expectations, if not even surpass them.
Slowly take over the train.
Flashy and stylish combat that boasts an impressive amount of depth and challenge, a cavalcade of excellently designed enemies and set-piece bosses that are an absolute joy to fight, and a refreshingly focused approach to game design. With all of this and more, Stellar Blade adheres to more of an old-school game design philosophy in the best way possible. Number 9, Banishers: Ghosts of New Eden. Vampire Don't Nod's first attempt at a choice-driven action RPG was more than a little rough around the edges, but it would be fair to say that the studio's sophomore outings in the genre turned out to be an enormous upgrade. Banisher's Ghosts of New Eden might just be one of the most underrated games that we've played in quite some time. From an engrossing tale revolving around a wonderfully written and acted pair of primary protagonists to genuinely high-stakes choice and consequence mechanics, Banishers is an action RPG that's well worth investing time in for fans of the genre, even if it is a bit too straightforward with its combat and RPG mechanics. Number 8. The Legend of Heroes: Trails Through Daybreak. The Legend of Heroes has long been, and will likely remain for the foreseeable future, one of the most daunting franchises for a newcomer to try and get into, based just on the sheer amount of required reading that any new entry demands. For fans, however, a new release is an occasion to be celebrated, as evidenced by the praise that Trails Through Daybreak has enjoyed. From combat and storytelling to its cast of characters and more, Falcom's latest RPG succeeds in a lot of the areas that many of its predecessors have as well, and in the process offers yet another excellent RPG in a year that's already seen a deluge of them. Number 7. The Rogue Prince of Persia. The Rogue Prince of Persia, developed by Evil Empire of Dead Cells fame, may have only launched in early access this year, but it has already impressed us as one of the best games that we've played these last few months. A stunning art style, slick traversal mechanics, challenging combat, addictive progression, a solid roguelike structure, the Rogue Prince of Persia has got off to a solid start, and we can't wait to see how it improves going forward. Number 6. Hades 2. Back in 2020, Supergiant Games delivered what's gone down as one of the greatest roguelikes of all time in the form of Hades, and this year, the studio started its road to glory with an early access release. Obviously, this isn't yet the full experience, but even in its current form, Hades 2 is an absolute treasure. Slick and addictive combat, gorgeous art direction, incredibly new biomes to explore, meaningfully significant improvements to progression, and what is already a shocking amount of content. All of that is just scratching the surface with Hades 2's biggest strengths, and the game isn't even anywhere close to being the final product yet. Number 5. Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth. Slowly yet surely, the Like a Dragon franchise has gained legitimate mainstream popularity over the years, and this year, the series cashed in on that built-up hype with its biggest outing yet. Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth is a staggeringly huge game, which is saying a lot for a franchise that is teeming with games that very neatly fit that exact description. From an endearing cast of characters to a rich and compelling, if occasionally rushed story, from excellent improvements to Yakuza 7's turn-based combat and RPG mechanics to an abundance of addictive and ridiculously fleshed out side activities and optional quests that you can lose yourself in for endless hours, Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth is an absolute epic, and an easy recommendation for RPG fans. Number 4. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. With excellent combat and slick traversal mechanics, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown focus on exploration evolves the genre in truly incredible ways, boasting spectacular level design, impressive variety in everything from enemies to biomes, shockingly rewarding progression mechanics, a wealth of excellent side content to track down, and much more. The Lost Crown is easily one of the best modern games that we played. Number 3. Dragon's Dogma 2. Admittedly, this is not a game for everyone. It hates the idea of providing anything that even slightly resembles guidance or hand-holding, and often takes that to such extremes that it can appear almost hostile to players. But it is exactly because of these idiosyncrasies that Dragon's Dogma 2 is able to deliver such a unique and singular experience. Finagling with its many eccentricities while engaging with its shockingly deep and layered RPG mechanics revolving around a robust class system makes for an immensely rewarding RPG experience. Number 2. Elden Ring: Shadow of the Erdtree. Yeah, we're including an expansion in a list that's otherwise about full games, because, let's face it, the single DLC is bigger and better than the vast majority of actual full-blown AAA games that we've played in years. Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree expands upon the masterful base game in unforgettable ways, delivering a huge, dense, and impeccably crafted world that never runs out of ways to surprise and delight players. Tough as nails bosses, rewarding exploration, gorgeous environments, and so much more. Shadow of the Erdtree is overwhelming with ways to keep its hooks sunk deep into your flesh. Number 1. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. If we're being honest, we never thought we would actually get a Final Fantasy VII game like this. A massive, fully open world Final Fantasy game that leaves no stone unturned with its budgets, while also capturing the sheer variety, quality, and mechanical depth of gameplay that the original was known for. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is the game that series fans have been dreaming of for decades, brought to life with such splendor that we can't help but applaud its sheer ambition. This is a game of excess in every way imaginable, but it justifies that excess by equaling the quantity with impeccable quality. Without a doubt, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is the absolute best game that we've played in all of 2024 so far, and it'll take something truly special for it to be supplanted in the next 6 months.
Righteous anger guide you.
Hey, did you know that we at GamingBolt upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell, and let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below.